Hi, you're watching Floyd Steinberg's YouTube channel, and this is the Community Update, a show in which I show what my viewers have been up to. Today, a synthesizer and sequencer on the Steamdeck, a new firmware for the Picotracker Advance, a terminal emulator for synthesizer drones that can run on Raspberry Pi, Windows or Apple computers, a new MIDI Bluetooth stack for Windows 11, and a drum computer for the PlayStation Vita. And also an update on my chord prediction machine, which is now called Knob, and Idicro has released a bigger version of their smart home button here. So I adapted the firmware to run on that. So if you think that's interesting, please join me for the next minutes in this video. Here we go. Okay, so the first software I want to show you is called Dronage Terminal by my viewer Bruce Meris or Birch. Let's press any key to continue. The idea here is to generate synthesized drones within a computer terminal. And you have 4 oscillators to do so, and there's a Euclidean sequencer, which means a repeating sequencer, and there's a mod matrix, LFOs, effects, and stuff. You can start the oscillators by pressing the number keys on the keyboard. For example, here's the first oscillator, second, third, fourth. And now you can move the cursor around with the keyboard to change the tone of the drone oscillators. So let's work on the first one here. Change the synth engine. Okay, let's drone around a bit. Now, let's turn on second oscillator. Third oscillator. Okay, let's add some panning to this. Now let's add some chorus. Delay. Reverb. Let's use the mod matrix down here. For example, I can now change the cutoff frequency of the filter on the virtual analog synthesizer and increase resonance. Now we want to change filter cutoff frequency on oscillator 2 with the second LFO. So let's do that. Yeah, that's Dronage Terminal. I'm sorry I can't dive too deep into all the options here, but if this piqued your interest, please visit the webpage, buy him a coffee, and now let's move to the next topic. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is called Fantasy Synth on the Steamdeck. This is a FM synthesizer / groovebox developed by Cameron Thomas. So yeah, let's launch this. This is a 4-operator FM synthesizer with a filter, and it's been optimized for the Steamdeck inputs. So you can navigate the menus with a thumb pad here, you can use the thumbsticks, and this is an actual 3D image of a synthesizer. You can play the synth with the on-screen keyboard. Works fairly well, but as you've probably seen, it's said better with MIDI controllers. So here's an opportunity to show you my updated chord sequencer firmware. Now I can play chords with this. Let's take a look at what we can do here. So one thing is you can create your own sounds. So we have a sound designer here, and you can set up LFOs, envelopes, filters, and there's also this FM design part here where you can set up the 4 operators, and there you can switch through them, and all of them have attack, decay, sustain, release envelopes. You can also adjust feedback. There's also attack, decay, sustain, and release for the feedback. Let's take a look at some of the preset sounds first. Okay, now let's edit the sound while it's playing here. Let's add some reverb. Let's change the cutoff frequency. Okay, and let's adjust the depth of the sine wave. Let's take a look at the other features. So for example, you have a drum computer here. There's only one drum set at the moment. And there's a simple sequencer. Press record and play. Let's go. The sequence you recorded can be edited in a simple 16-step 4-bar editor, which plays in a loop. Fantasy Synth is out on Steam and in the Android store now, and it's optimized for touchscreen and game controllers. Link is in this video's description. By the way, subscribe to this channel for more news on electronic music gadgets, open source solutions, and generally smaller projects that you won't hear much about on other channels. Seeing those subscriber numbers grow makes me happy and keeps me motivated to push out a new video every week or so. Thank you very much. Let's stay with game consoles for a while. This project is called DS8 for the PlayStation Vita by my viewer Pierluigi Cow. I don't own a PlayStation Vita, so I'm using an emulator for Windows here. You can download this from the internet. What is this project? It's an emulator for TR-808 and 909, and there are also additional frequency modulation engines for certain sounds here, for example for snare drums. Everything is synthesized here, there are no samples used, and there is a 9-track sequencer. 8 tracks are for the drums, and there is one parameter locking track there as well, where you can set up parameter changes for the effects and certain synths. Let's take a look at this. So the screen is divided into 3 parts. The upper part here is used for playback and setting up the tempo. Let's set the tempo to 90 beats per minute. Down here we can select the type of synth we want to use, bass drum, snare drum and so on. And here we can enter the beat. I will create a simple 80s, 90s hip-hop beat here. Now I can press 2 on the keyboard to start playback. Alright, now I'm going to add a snare drum sound on the 2 and 4. And in order to make this a snare drum, move the cursor down here, then select the snare drum engine. Now with the cursor keys you can move around, and here's the 808 snare, 909 snare and FM snare. Let's use the FM snare and set up the parameters a bit. Tuning, body, amount of frequency modulation, decay, noise, tone, noise decay, let's dial this up. Alright, and drive. And we can also add effects, for example the delay. Right. Now let's add a hi-hat. We can add other effects here, for example the comp filter. Yeah, I'm sorry I can't show everything here due to timing constraints. It's Saturday evening and tomorrow this video will be released. So that's the DS8 for the PlayStation Vita. And do you own a PlayStation Vita? Still have one in your drawer? Then you can download this project. And please write a comment under this video if you do. Here's the next project. Okay, so the next software I want to show you is called MIDIConnect, and it was developed by Wavy Industries, the makers of the Monkey keyboard. And I think it was made because they got tired of people complaining that things don't work too well with Bluetooth MIDI devices on Windows, which still is a fairly important platform people use every day. So they came up with MIDIConnect. What is it? It's a simple widget for your Windows computer. It lives in the taskbar here, and once there are Bluetooth MIDI devices near your computer, they will show up here, and you can just click them one time and they will be added to the list of active MIDI devices. And then you can just launch your DAW, go into the options, and there you have it. We have knob here and also the monkey. Turn both of them on. Let's play some chords. Or on the monkey. If you compare this to the usual way this works in Windows, this is such a big relief. It's reduced to one step basically. Just select the instrument and click instead of opening the device manager, searching for the Bluetooth device, clicking show all devices. This is a big step forward, and the best thing is you don't need to install anything extra. For example, previously you had to install a program named MIDI and a program named Loop MIDI, and then Loop MIDI didn't work in Windows 11 since they patched it and blah blah blah. It was all quite inconvenient, and this is such a big step forward. Link to this program is in this video's description, and thanks to Wavy Industries. Xyphonics have released a new beta firmware for that Picotracker Advance, which introduces some new interesting features like envelopes and new filters. Let's take a look. So I'm in the phrase screen here, and now we're on the instrument screen, and you can see we've got this new option sample here. This is the old sampled instrument, and this is the new one. So let's load a sample. And let's use one of those single cycle waves here. Okay, and now I want to turn this into an oscillator. And now we can move to another new screen here. And let's take a look at what we can do here. First, we can adjust the length of the notes. We can also adjust panning, but there is a new filter screen here. Let's take a look at that. So we can shape the filter with envelopes, we can adjust color frequency and resonance, and it's also possible for the amp envelope. We also have some effects. And there are LFOs now. We can direct the LFOs to different targets, for example, filter cutoff frequency. That's the beta update on the Picotracker Advance. There are more features here. There's a full list of all the new features on their homepage. So if you're interested, please click on the link in this video's description. If you're wondering, synthesizers and reverb effects are scheduled for the next update. And while we're at it, let's briefly talk about my progress with the knob, or the chord guessing or chord suggestion device. Some of you have bought this one. This is the smaller version of the smart knob, and then Elecro came out with a slightly bigger version of this. And as you can see, I made my firmware work on both of these. This is a 1.46-inch screen, and this is a 1.28-inch screen. I think this one here is the device I'd recommend because it's got this metal ring, and the ring is slightly more responsive to whatever you do. Also, the actual button that is the screen, it has less way to travel down. So on this knob, you have to push down quite a bit to make the click register, and here it's much faster, which is more practical for music applications, because the less way you have to push something down, the faster you can do it, which is important in music, okay? If you have trouble reading this because the screen is too small, maybe this will help. Resolution is a bit higher and it's the same price, so really decision is up to you. Only $30 for this. Link is under this video's description, and if you use my link, then I will get a little bit of commission money paid out, so just that you know. Regarding the PCB, as you can see, it's working. We've got the USB and the MIDI connector here. Learned a lot of things while designing this, made a lot of mistakes, and there's a revision 2 of this, which hopefully fixes all the mistakes. For example, the screw holes are too big to actually fix it to the knob. But yeah, I'm working on it. We've got a metronome on here now. We've got a working arpeggiator that not only will split up the chords you play, but you can define melodies, and this will then change the melodies on the fly so that they fit the chord you're playing at the moment. I'm really looking forward to show this. All right, that's it for today. Yeah, and that's it for today. I hope you found this interesting. All the links to all the projects in this video are in this video's description. Subscribe to this channel for more music technology, open source news, synthesizer tutorials, and anything related to electronic music. Thanks for watching, take care, bye bye.